And here we go. You are live on the Ask Coach Mike show. We got Jeff Wildey, we got John Sperling, and there's Johnny during a match. Didn't even hit you a ball, John, and you won the match.
It was pretty good. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Where were you in that match, John, for people that don't know?
So hold on, Coach. Hold on, John.
Okay.
So let's do the introduction for those that don't know. We have Senior Pro John Sperling on with us tonight, and we're very fortunate to have him. So I didn't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to make sure people knew who you were.
Yes.
Maybe newer to the sport that haven't seen all the medals that you have hanging around your neck lately.
I've been pretty fortunate this year. Been pretty fortunate.
So let's just say Johnny and the medals, we all talk about it's nice to play, but when you're not getting on the podium, people just don't notice you as much. And John's sneakers have been landing on the podium very often. Is that fair to say?
It's pretty fair to say.
Okay.
Pretty fair to say.
Really
I like
fantastic.
Johnny because he's a little bit younger than me, but he's still in his 50s. Or he just turned 50?
No, I'm about to turn 51.
Wow, he's getting old.
I know, I'm washed up, already out of my prime.
You're in your primes.
That's right.
We're excited to have you. And
Thanks,
John,
Johnny.
We got to kick
Thanks,
the show
guys.
off with Coach Mike's favorite question. And that question is, how did pickleball find you?
Well, I was a tennis pro at a country club in Ocala, and I had a guy who always kept harassing me and say, "Hey, I got this game I want you to play." And I've been like, "No." And he kept coming up, "Come on, come play." And every 3 months he'd come bother me. And finally one day he comes up, he just brought paddles. He goes, "Come on, let's go play." So like 2 seconds into playing, I'm like, "Why aren't we playing this game?" And
Wow.
so from that moment, I said, I need to figure out how to get this in my club. And so we were strictly a tennis club, tennis golf. So I put a couple temporary nets up, started teaching my high level junior kids how to play. And then we would do 1 day a week of pickleball. And then the rest of the 4 days we do tennis. And I literally fell in love with it. I left the job of 22 years to go to pickleball. And it was never regretted it a day of my life. So
You still playing tennis?
no.
So, John, how many years ago would this have been?
So I think that was 2017. So
not
not
that
that
many
long
years
ago.
ago.
No, not that long ago. I fell in love with it quick, like everybody else. I drank the Kool-Aid. I loved the differences that it had from tennis that were unique. You know, so it was kind of a great thing. It was the communal part. Everyone was very open, very friendly, very this, very that. And at that point in the tennis career, it wasn't the same. It was very much me versus you, or it was all about the competition. It wasn't about growing the game. It was about, am I better than you? So I found it as a new challenge and a new adventure.
And do you think a lot of tennis people, if they tried the sport, would feel the same way?
I think so. I think you have your hardline tennis players. Like even when we were playing in Orlando at the USTA National Tennis Center, every time I would go by somebody, I said, "Hey, come on over to the dark side," and kind of tease them. And they were very rigid. Like, no, I got my racket. I'm good. I'm like, listen, we've all had our rackets. There's nothing wrong with playing a little bit. You dabble in it, see if you like it.
Right.
So I think you have those hardline guys who won't. But those open-minded people, like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And some like it, some don't, and it's not for everybody. I get it. I love it. You love it. Mikey loves it. There's millions of people who love it, and that's what I find somebody new that I can bring into the sport weekly. So it's been a really amazing journey.
That's fantastic. Well, for those of you that don't know, John ended up with a silver medal in the Atlanta PPA. That was men's with Millsy, right?
Yep. Orlando, you mean Orlando?
Orlando, sorry.
You're in Atlanta.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the crazy trip for me, my partner and I, female partner, played Sunday in Orlando. And on Monday, my wife and I drove here, who is not my female partner, who is just my wife. And normal for pickleball, but not
Right.
for everybody that doesn't know the game.
Not your pickleball wife.
Exactly.
Correct.
Exactly. And we played a little bit at the facility in Griffin. Actually, a beautiful facility. Looking forward to playing there at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, and then again on Thursday.
Nice.
So
Nice.
excited for that. And then John will be up here as well. And you play when,
Correct.
John? Do you know?
I think we play Friday, Saturday.
Okay.
I was also blessed to pick up a bronze medal in mixed, which is always a fun experience. I had a great partner, Sarah Minton, out of Hilton Head, South Carolina. Always a pleasure to play with her. So we had a good time. We're still learning each other's ways on the court. It's only our third time we play together, and this is one of those ones that we're learning and we're getting better. So we had a fourth place finish in Atlanta last year. We had a not so good finish in Punta Gorda, but this was a very good outing for us. So I was excited.
Fantastic. Well, you brought up partners, and I know, I've looked at your you've done great the last, I think you've done great all year, but I guess my point is I see you with a few different partners, especially on the men's side. How does that come about? Is it availability? Is it, trial and error? Tell me how that all works.
It's a funny way it works. When I first started the game, it's like high school. Hey, will you play with me? Hey, will you play with me? And nobody knows.
That's not funny. It is.
It's 100%.
Just like that. And especially, Johnny, it gets worse if you're not out there.
Correct.
When you're new and you're just doing your transition and you're just maybe coaching and you're not actually in the circuit, John who?
That's right.
But then when they see you and you're on the podium, it's like everyone starts calling.
Yeah. So my first tournament, Paul Olin said he would play with me, and I was so excited. I'm like, sweet. So it was the California Open last year, and we came out, and I took third, and I took all three bronzes. Third, and fourth. I think I took fourth in singles. And he said, "Well, I guess you're going to be on the radar now." And he goes, "They're going to realize who you are."
There you go.
But for me, after that, then it's just, my 2022 is getting almost all the way booked up. I have people in 2023 that I already have matches with. I'm like, whew. So once you build those small bonds with players, and I feel like I'm blessed that I can play with almost anybody. I've played with, let's see, Mills, Paul, Scott Crandall, Mircha, Rick Witskin, who else? Richie Lopez. And I've been fortunate to win with every one of them. So
let me just stop for a second. So for the people that are just listening in, John's very humble about what he just said. You have to have such good character. You have to be so accustomed to playing with someone that doesn't play the game like the person you just played with. And you have to be able to adjust to their game. And there's always, and John will correct me if I'm wrong, there's always that person that's the calm in the storm, or the one that's a little bit more technical or more tactical. And there was always that other one. And John just happened to have that. And listen, I'm not patting him on the back, but he just happened to be smart player. He understands the process of the game. That's not something you can teach to a lot of people. He came with that very advanced athletic skills, with innate athletic skills from tennis, and it able to roll right into pickleball. And just learning the difference between pickleball and tennis. But it's a lot. It's a lot to be able to adjust that easy. And he's being very humble about it. I just want to throw it out there.
There's every match, there's trial and errors, and you have to learn what people do and don't like. I mean, a lot of people I've won stepping on the court with the first time with them. Scott Crandall and I won the first time we've ever been on the court. Mills and I, first time we've been on the court. Scott Moore and I, first time we've been on the court. Mircha and I, Rick Witz, every one of those guys is the first time I've ever been on the court with them, and we're able to find our way through the game. Not only medal, but win. I mean, we won the gold with I won gold with every one of those guys. And Richie Lopez and I just got done winning Tournament of Champions, and that was not without its problems, right? We had a match that was close against Enrique and Scott Crandall, and it wasn't good because we weren't comfortable in our position. So we had a meeting. We went out and sat in the lawn and said, if we play that way against Gingrich and Booth, we're going to get our butt handed to us. So we had to learn, we had to find our own identity, which I always tell people, it's very important in pickleball is know who you are. And
Right.
so we were both kind of alpha in a weird way. And I said, I like this ball, you like that ball. We have to have some give and take. And, to his credit, we got on the court with Gingrich and Booth, and we weren't stacking to that point. And he knows how much I like to play the left. So the first point of the match, I went to go on the other side. He goes, no, you go over there. And from that moment, it opened up this whole new kind of vibe for us, right? We were then clicking on all cylinders. I felt more at ease. He probably took a different role, which I give him a lot of credit for, because I don't think it's easy for a lot of people.
Right.
You said about that tactical part. Sometimes I'm almost too tactical. So I will drive my partners crazy, I'm sure, because I'm so, I'm a coach. So it's hard to take the coach out of the player, even when you're playing. And
I think it makes you a better player.
Yeah, it does, but it also makes me a jerk sometimes. I'm almost, I understand. Yeah, it's because I see it in different ways. And I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. I see the game in a different way. I've always been wired a little differently. I
Okay.
played college hockey, and I wasn't always the best, wasn't always the fastest, but I could see it different. And so tennis was the same way. So being with different partners, it's not for everybody. There's a lot of people who can't step on a court with everybody and do well,
Exactly.
or just survive.
Agreed.
So John, you bring up a good point. You've played with a lot of partners, and there's probably, would you say 40 senior pros that you see all the time?
Yeah, I would say that's pretty good.
So
it's pretty good.
How do you keep it spicy? How do you keep them from saying, oh, well, John has, Coach Mike likes to say everybody has 3 shots. How do you mix it up so people don't know what's coming, what shot to expect?
It's one of those situations where you're always growing. You're always learning. If you're not learning, you're dying. If you're
That's
not growing,
right.
you're dying. So for me, I have a basic skill set that I like, but I'm always working on certain aspects. I played one match and we didn't do well, and Mills said, "Hey, I'd like to see you do this more." And I'm like, "Okay, I like that." I went home and I worked on it for 2 weeks. I came back. We played 2 weeks later in another tournament, and we beat Booth and Crandall handily. And he came up to me after. He goes, "That was 2 totally different players we played in weeks difference." I said, "Well, I had to try a different game because I had to be more aggressive, because the situation where we're in didn't allow my partner to be aggressive. So I had to kind of take over that role." It's not always easy for people to do, but you have to understand that's the aspect of the game, and that's how you keep building your game. Not to be, I'm just happy with where I'm at. I'm always striving for the next level.
Sure. Hey, Jeff, if I can say one thing, and it's just me as a coach. Everybody coaches different. Everyone sees things differently. But what I can tell you, and I think John will agree, as a coach, you tend to see things that other people may not see because you're always watching as a coach. And then you pick up other people's technical and tactical skills or not. And you
Correct.
see an opening that someone else a little bit more eloquently than I did. But being a coach causes you to learn that. And I know Johnny, well, we'll talk about that, has his own coaching company.
Yeah.
So would you be like a baseball player that between, after matches, you go back and look at the film and see, maybe a place where they took advantage of you, or a place, like you say that, maybe you didn't pick up on the court, but you see watching film of another pair, a team you're playing, or.
What's funny is I don't do any of that. I don't watch my own pickleball. I never. It's okay. I don't know. Yeah, it's just a weird. Maybe once in a while I'll see something and I'm like, oh, I want to look at what happened in that point because I don't remember. But I don't watch a whole lot of it. So you learn on the fly, because if they're changing, you gotta figure that out.
Right.
Every single moment. Like I'll say, oh, do you see this? What's happening right now? Let's utilize it. And you hopefully you're making the best judgment as you do it. And what makes a good player is being able to change on the fly. We had an incident this past week where we were playing mixed doubles and a situation wasn't working for us, and my partner said, "Let's do this," and it was totally took me out of store. And I'm like, I wasn't so on board with it, but I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And then as it started, I'm like, yeah, okay, good job. It worked really well, and we
Good.
were able to pull out a win. And but that was a team specific thing, and so it was perfect. So I liked it.
Nice.
You
You
know?
have to be flexible.
Yep, and I am not always.
And you're willing to admit it, which is good.
Correct. I have a lot of, like you said, if you recognize a lot of stuff about people and do that, and you watch a lot as a coach,
Hmm.
sometimes the biggest thing I need to do is shut my mouth. As a coach, shut up, John. Just shut up.
Yeah.
So John, I'm sorry.
You're good.
You talked about TOC earlier this year. Maybe it's that, but what is one of your favorite moments on the pickleball court and why, or maybe two, or?
Well, obviously that's a huge moment. That's a major. That's getting,
So tell everybody about it. Those that aren't familiar with what happened.
What is TOC? Where is it?
So Tournament of Champions is in Brigham City, Utah. It's one of probably the most prestigious tournaments. I think bigger than, I think it was the first money tournament, if I'm not mistaken, way back down the lines of the first time they had payouts.
Sure.
Bigger than, to me, and it used to be just champions. If you wanted a different event, you were invited to this one.
Correct. It was the best of the best.
Right. It has since opened up, but it has still become one of the majors of pickleball, other than the Nationals and
U.S. Open.
U.S. Open. Those are our three majors. I know there's others that have come in there, but I know from, I would say, the old pickleball standards and what people thought about, those were the majors. Sure. So my first experience at TOC was not so good a couple of years ago. I was a 49-year-old guy playing in the young kid division, and I had a good time and played well and had to fight, but I was waiting until to get that moment. And obviously last year we didn't have a chance to do it. So I told Richie Lopez that I would partner with him last year. And he said, "Hey, we might as well just keep it up this year." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, we'll play." And then we've never played together. I just know him, and I think he's a great guy. And we went into Utah, and it was a tough field. I mean, what makes a major is everybody's there. It's not like, hey, I won a little tournament and here or there. It's everybody. All the top guys are there. I think we had one guy missing, Jose DeRossi, and he was the only one not there because of a family issue. But other than that, you had the top 20 guys there. So you had to. There was no, hey, I'm gonna I get an easy match. I get no. And I love it now because the senior pros, there are no really easy matches. There's a fight every single time you jump on the court.
Sure.
So we battled all day. Rain came at the night, and then we ended up we had to go indoors, and we ended up pulling out a third set match, or a three set game against Dane Gingrich and Kevin Booth, who are two amazing players.
Yeah, absolutely. They're definitely at the top of the food chain.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And that venue, Jeff, for the people that don't know, you see all the TV and these big, huge venues, TOC, especially years ago. And correct me if I'm wrong, you drive down this residential street, and all of a sudden there's a little left-hand turn. You go down this dirt road, stones, and then there's the park.
Yeah.
But it's gorgeous. I mean, the venue, the air, it's beautiful facility, but it's small. It's tiny. It's a little tiny park.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's not tiny anymore.
No, it's grown since then. Yeah,
it's expanded. They have a beautiful stadium court with seating all around it. It's beautiful, and they've expanded 12 more courts on the outside.
Oh wow!
But it's a really nice. It's a nice venue. It's a nice atmosphere. My first experience at TOC, what I really liked is I got to meet a lot of pros at that time. In fact, I was having this conversation today with somebody. I said the one thing that we're we lose now that there's so much money involved in pickleball is rec games. Nobody stays around and plays. Everyone's in it for the money and they go. That first year I was there, the first year I played at the US Open, I played rec games until the lights went off. And I met so many different pros and so many different this. Unfortunately, with the influx of the money, there it's more business aspect, so there's less people having fun and playing. But even this year, we went late night and everyone was still playing and having a good time, and we played some cards, and it's a great atmosphere, and truly honored to have that under in my resume that I have a win at TOC. So
that's a big one.
That's awesome. Yeah. Tell us, John, about your pickleball company. Is it ATP Pickleball?
ATP Pickleball. Yeah, ATP Pickleball.
There you go.
Well, ATP Pickleball for you.
Stands for?
I don't. Well, if you notice, it looks like it's around the post, and there's my logo is an around the post shot. If you see it.
Sure.
So I'll turn it this way. See, it's a little around the post, but it really means advanced teaching professionals.
Okay.
I started teaching a couple of years ago. I had a job working at a private facility, and then I went and worked for a paddle company. And we just didn't see eye to eye on the philosophy of the curriculum. And so, I've been in the game for a long time teaching. I've been a teacher for 30 years in the tennis world. I'm like, I think I can put this together.
Sure.
And so I went on my own and I created ATP Pickleball, and it's grown and it's grown. Now I don't do as much traveling as I used to. With the camp, I do more teaching at home, but I will probably at some point when my wins start going down, I'll start doing a little bit more camps. So I still do a lot of them, but I'm not I probably do 20 some camps a year on my own. And then I also do about 20 camps a year with Tyson. So
I'm going to mention something. He's got Tyson's shirt on. And as we're doing this, people are typing stuff in. We have one person we all know, Goldie saying, you can just say the name John and everyone knows who you're talking about now. So he's a mutual friend of all of ours. And there's a woman that actually took one of your classes, and she's typing in that she wants to talk about the experience she's had. She said that she's very disappointed about the coaching sessions that she had in Orlando with you, John.
It must have been Tyson or Kyle, definitely Kyle.
No, it had to be Kyle. It wasn't you, John. Don't worry.
Absolutely. How are you doing?
John was terrific.
Thank you so much.
You were great, and you did not look like a tennis pro despite your background.
Well, that's actually a huge compliment. I appreciate that. Yeah. A lot of people, I think, who get into the teaching world, who come from the tennis world, sometimes teach tennis to pickleballers. Right. And
they do, and they look like tennis players. And you think, well, I'm just learning to play tennis on a pickleball court, but it's a completely different game.
Yes, absolutely.
So I learned that from you, and I learned some things I haven't implemented yet, but
okay, it's all right. Everything takes time. It always takes time.
Exactly.
More time in the saddle, by the way. And you know what? Happy birthday to Miss Stephanie.
Happy birthday, Steph.
Happy birthday, Stephanie.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And for those of you that don't know, Stephanie is Coach Mike's significant other. So
lucky me.
That's right.
Lucky me.
I actually wanted Stephanie to go to one of Tyson's camps. John happened to be there. It was just a plus because I know Johnny's skills. So she happened to spend a lot of time with John. And after each day, we talk about, what was new that you learned. We always say that. Give me 2 takeaways from today, because you get so much when you're getting new coaching sessions from a new person. Just give me 2 things that you can take away. And every day, Johnny, she had something really powerful to say. Good. Not just, Kyle did a good job, but she might have connected a little bit more with you during the coaching sessions.
Absolutely. So thank you.
Thank
you.
You.
So working on it,
Stephanie.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Steph.
Thanks, Steph.
That's
All right.
always nice. As a coach, you want to hear what your students say, and very often you don't always get to.
Correct.
So
No, it's
that's why I
always good to
like
get.
camps. Camps, you usually spend more time with them.
Yeah, you get a lot of feedback. You learn. In fact, I'm getting ready to go on the road next week, and I'll do a camp in North Carolina.
Nice.
With Coach Russell. It's one of those camps that he gave me my first shot. Like he
Oh, in the
said, "Hey,"
mountains?
yeah. So he said he took a shot at a kid long ago and gave me an opportunity to do a camp, and I do it every year as a thank you because
Very
I
nice.
was a tennis guy that he didn't know, and someone said, "Hey, you should take this guy from
So his
Okay,
very first time, is it Black Bear? What's the name of it up there?
Black Mountain,
Black Mountain.
Yep,
It's a tennis facility
yep,
that turns into a pickleball camp. And I went out there his very first time. I helped paint the lines for him and everything, taping them down. So he happens to be another wonderful guy. A lot of people don't know.
yep. Suncoast Pickleball. It's actually beautiful.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
So John, it looks like you play all three. I haven't seen you play at least in your
Seniors
results. I haven't seen singles a lot lately, but obviously you've played some this year. What do you enjoy the most, singles, mixed, or men's? And why?
It's a great question. I don't like singles.
Okay.
I don't like singles at all. Nobody likes. I always tell people, nobody likes to see old guys run around. And the guys that do it, I take nothing away from them. Paul is an amazing single. Mircha, Rick, they're all Matthias. They're all great singles players. Oh my God, I find no joy in it. And you think I would because it's so much like tennis. I really like playing mixed doubles. I think it's an interesting game. It's a different game, so you have to play a different style. I don't always consider it typical pickleball, right? It's a little bit more like it's wild. It's almost like the Wild West. You got to be ultra aggressive, and you got to do this, and you got to do that. And for a long time, it was never my forte. I'm much more soft. I would never hit the girl. I would never do this. My partner would get hit all day long, and then she'd yell at me for not hitting her girl. And it happens, right? And so I've learned it over these last couple of years, and so I've become, I think, a better player at it. So I really enjoy it. But just going to battle with a partner and like in men's doubles, I love it. You get on the same page, and if it's clicking and it's working, I mean, it's great when it's all working, but I also like that time where you have some setbacks and you figure out, hey, if we do this, playing with Mills, everyone tells me, like even it was funny. Irina said something to me the other day when we were done playing. She goes, "I don't know how you do it. How do you get Mills to calm down?" I'm like, I don't know because Mills has always been kind of wild, but maybe I have a way of delivering stuff to him, and we have a good rapport, and he'll tell me some things. I'm like, okay, and I'll tell him some things, and we just, I think that's important as you build those partnerships, that you can have that conversation. Like, listen, you got to do this because I see it, you don't, and so I don't know if I like one more than I think if
you had to pick,
men's doubles just ahead of mixed.
Okay.
I do like it. And singles way down here, way down here.
Okay.
So, yeah. But man, I know I need to play some more, but I just don't enjoy it. I like the way the APP does it. They do it at the end of the week. So if you are going to play it, you wouldn't hurt your partners.
Sure.
Like if I get hurt in a singles match and pull out of mixed and men's, I've hurt a partner.
Right.
So, that's one of the situations I like. The APP does it at the back rather than the front. How many times did we see in the U.S. Open, a couple players got hurt playing singles?
Yeah.
Sure.
And for the whole week, there was a lot of partners who flew in that now have no partners. So
right.
Yeah, I would say men's would be my top. But
And then when you're playing singles, it's much more taxing on your body.
Yeah.
Right. Even thinking about it.
Listen, I'm just tired thinking. That made me a little bit exhausted.
Okay.
to chase
Okay.
the ball left and right. But yeah,
Wait, maybe when you get into your 60s, you'll start playing age.
maybe I could take it then. Maybe I could take like I still play. I play like tennis. I stay back. I never come in. And now
Ever?
very rarely. But it's so
Okay.
funny. Like I was playing at the LA Open, and I called Paul and I said, "Hey, how do you win?" And he goes, "You got to do this, this, and this, right?" And he goes, "What's your plan?" I'm like, "Slap and hope, slap and hope." And his response was so perfect. He goes, "Hey, that's my plan in doubles." So I'm like,
Oh,
so it's perfect because he goes, "I don't really like." He doesn't feel as comfortable in doubles as he does in singles. So it was just kind of funny that, hey, he was giving me a little bit of that same kind of feedback to it. So I thought it was
That's
kind of
funny.
funny.
well, just speaking of Olin, I think he does a lot of other types of training. It's not just pickles,
God, no, that boy's legit.
right?
He's like a little, yeah.
He's a
He
machine.
must weigh $145 though. Come on,
No,
kick him up,
stop it.
throw
Not
him.
that light.
He's a little guy. Come on.
Boy, does he
I
move though. He's fast. His anticipation's sick.
I would tell you. Listen, I tease him. You know, the only time I get him to laugh on the court is I call him Maverick, right? Because if you don't know his background, he was a fighter pilot.
Oh, wow. No.
Yeah, he was. If I'm not mistaken, lead instructor at Top Gun. So he was a legit fighter pilot.
Wow.
So my big thing is, come on, Maverick, let's go. Come on, take me, take me home, Maverick. Let's go.
Wait.
Baby. Get
What
this
does that
in.
make you, Goose?
I'll be Goose. Listen, I'll be anything he needs to be in that situation. Absolutely.
For you youngsters, you probably have no clue who we're talking about, and that's perfectly fine.
That's
Well,
right.
I think the
That's right.
second version of that movie is supposed to come out at some point, but
Okay.
so
That would be interesting.
So John, are you in the Villages? Is that right?
I am. I live in the Villages.
So tell us, I hear there's like 60,000. There's one court for every person that lives in there.
200 something courts.
I believe it's 220. I could be off, but I think the last count I heard was 220 courts.
But not in the same place.
Correct. They're spread out all over.
So tell me,
it's a massive.
Can you find some advanced players in there? You probably have a little bit of everything, right?
Oh, absolutely. There are unbelievable. Listen, the Villages is probably one of the most well-known places in the pickleball community as far as grouping of players. When they go to tournaments as a group, the Village comes home with truckloads of medals.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking
24 people go to a tournament, Jeff.
Yeah, and half of them medal, and half of them win. When you think about the Villages, I was, when I was a kid, I thought about, okay, my grandparents and my aunts and uncles would come around the house and play cards, and I'm like, man, everyone's just waiting to die type of thing, and I don't mean to be morbid about it, but the Villages, people come here to live.
Yeah.
There are so many sports and so many of this, and people come here for their athletics.
Yep.
It's unbelievable what they have here, from their amazing softballs to their, to pickleball, golf,
biking.
There's 954 holes in the Villages.
Yeah.
That's a lot of golf. And if there's a sport, they have it.
Oh, yeah.
So
a lot of high-level retired pros from those sports end up living in the Villages.
Correct.
Right.
And so we have that upper echelon of players. Now, they may not be senior pros anymore. They may have graduated and age-wise up a little bit.
Right.
But I guarantee you're going to see U.S. Open champs, national champs.
Oh, yeah.
Any big major, you're talking, you got the Ted
Softball.
Myers. Oh, my God. You got Ted Meyer. You got Jimmy Wright. You got Gary Miller. I mean, Deb Harrison. I mean, the list goes on and on for the people who play that still compete. Brian Staub, who one of the guys I play with more than anybody.
Yeah.
Out of the Villages, and I mean, he's an icon in this.
Sure, he is. He'll probably be a Hall of Famer soon.
Correct. He's won everything. He's won every major multiple times. So,
I know he's a big softball player too.
That's kind of where I'm having to drag him away from every once in a while. I'm still playing too much softball, but yes.
So how many pickleball players would you say are in the Villages? Any idea?
Oh gosh,
thousands. If you were to guess.
I have no idea.
1,000?
20,000?
Okay, there you go.
Wow.
15,000, 20,000. I mean, it's packed every day. Every court
So
is
Jeff,
packed.
just picture where you live in Naples. Every subdivision has pickleball courts, their pool, their clubhouse, but they also have what's the sport like padel, where they have the fenced in
Platform. We have
platform
No,
tennis.
no,
Almost
no
all the
patel.
subdivisions, individual subdivisions, have all these. When they first build them, there's pickleball, there's tennis, there's platform tennis, the pool, the clubhouse,
Bocce
and
ball,
everyone's on a
horseshoe.
golf cart. Everywhere you go in the villages, you pull into a restaurant, there's 50 golf carts there.
You wish there was only 50.
Okay, I'm being
250.
250.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It really is an amazing place.
It's
And
not for everybody, but it's a great spot if you want to be busy.
I will tell you what, they are so, I mean, they were so welcoming to me when I first came into the sport and took us under our wing, and the people in the villages. And to this day, they're my biggest supporters. I mean, I'll get 50 texts from people when I would do well in a tournament, or unfortunately, when I'm playing a tournament, they hit me up on my Apple Watch. I'm like, stop texting me right now. So they have adopted me as, one of their own, and now
Nice.
I live
That's
here.
not
And
easy
so
over there.
no, and it truly is amazing. It really is an amazing place. You're right; it's not for everybody,
No.
but it really is a neat place. And I personally, it's for me. It's really cool. I was
Nice.
telling everyone, I said it's. I've always wanted. I always told my mom I would want to come to the villages, and I said I'll be the champion there for 50 years. And I'm like, now I live here. I'm like, but
What happened?
I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to be the champ here, though. I
What
try not to
happened,
play
Johnny? You got older. You're one of those old folks playing cards now?
Listen, I do. And listen, I just got Chris Anderson just texted me if I see if I wanted to play euchre. We play
No
online all the
way.
time. Yeah, we play online all the time. Yeah. So yes, I'm that guy.
So John, let's switch gears a little bit. What suggestions, advice would you give to younger people coming into the sport, or even older people coming into the sport, just getting started?
Enjoy the ride.
Right.
Don't press too hard. I mean, a lot of people want instant success. Nothing that is going to come easy to you. Nothing just is handed to you. You have to build that, and it's a lot, especially if you want to really succeed. If you want to come and enjoy it, I guess you have to find what you really want. Like, what's one of the biggest things I asked somebody when I start coaching them, I said, what's your goals?
Right.
What's your short-term goals? What's your long-term goals? I think those are important, because if they're unattainable, or if you set the bar too high, then I say, okay, let's lower them a little bit. Then we get there, then we can raise them up even more.
Mm-hmm.
But I think everybody wants to come in thinking they're going to be a superstar. Everyone wants to come in. Listen, there's one king of the hill right now, and everyone else is just trying to knock him off.
Correct.
Now there's a lot of great players. I had a funny situation happen yesterday. There was a little kid in the locker room in Orlando, or 2 days ago, and I'm like asking me, where you from? He's like, I'm from New York. We came down to watch the pros. I'm like, it's great. I said, who'd you come watch? He's like embarrassed to tell me. I'm like, who's your favorite player to watch? And his dad's like, you can tell him. And he goes, Ben Johns. I'm like, hey, that's my favorite player to watch too, because honestly, Ben is an amazing player, and if you're going to watch somebody, watch the guy who's literally the best in the game at what he does. There are other great players and there are other great competitors, but for what he does, it's amazing. So, someone new coming in, don't stress, don't rush it. It's
good advice. Real good advice.
It's a marathon and not a sprint, right?
Right.
You will get there, and enjoy the ride.
So you mentioned coaching, John. Would it make sense for them to reach out to you or Coach Mike?
Sure.
Absolutely. I always tell people, when you try to get a hold of me, everyone tells me, I can't get a hold of you. You got to text. I have like 50 to 100 texts a day. I'm like, you got to keep texting me. Sometimes I lose them on my Apple Watch. I never even know they came in. So yeah, something of that nature. I'm always telling people, I said, they go, oh, you don't respond. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know you texted. I hate to tell
So
you that.
Johnny, while you're talking about it, tell them where you are, give them a phone number, and let them know when you're in whatever area you might be in. This is the number to call. Go ahead.
The easiest way to get a hold of me is to email me
Okay.
at atp.pickleball@gmail.com, or send me a text 352-274-2487. You may have to hit me up more than once. I'm not always in town. I do travel quite a bit, but
Geographically, where do you do most of your coaching?
right here in the Villages.
Good.
Right here. I have a private facility right outside of the Villages. It's a great facility, easy to get to from the Villages.
Indoor, outdoor?
Outdoor.
Okay,
I have access to indoor, but I don't. If like I have people who fly in occasionally,
Sure.
and so when you're training them, if they come from a long way. If I need to go indoors, I have access to an indoor facility, but I try to stay outside. I mean,
Could that happen to be our honey buddy?
It is.
It is.
He's a great guy. He's a great
Oh,
guy.
yeah. That's a great spot.
Yeah, absolutely. So, right there, and it's get a hold of me or look us up on Facebook, ATP-Pickleball on Facebook. Always send me a message. It's easier there sometimes than like people call and all this, and how hard it is to return a call. And this when my voice box gets filled in 2 days sometimes, like, oh, got it. So it's easier.
You need to get some help.
Text. One day I'll get there. I'm slowly building that business, so it's hard enough with one guy, but yes, as you get bigger, you're good. To keep the growing, and that'll happen. So,
all right. You told us TOC was your favorite event, how it all worked out. How about your favorite venue you've played in pickleball?
And there's been some new ones recently in the last year.
There has been some new ones. I will tell you, there's a really amazing venue in Opelika, Alabama, which is a covered facility with 12 courts that I was very fortunate. I was fortunate to go up there, and it's free to everybody. The city put it together. It's an amazing facility.
No kidding.
I thought that was unbelievable. There's a great facility in Oxford, Connecticut that a buddy of mine built, Oxford Pickleball indoor facility. He actually, so as an indoor facility, made it unbelievable. He's the guy who builds the U.S. Open tennis courts.
Wow.
So he got into pickleball. You have to love the U.S. Open. Oh my God. I mean, just East Naples it's a party. So
sure, it's a great spot. It really is.
I mean, you can't mention anything without playing there. Another one would be obviously Indian Wells. When they did it for nationals, it was
sure. I think it really put us on the map for pickleball when they went to Indian Wells, and it's just such a top shelf facility.
Oh my God, the guy! The rumor was he had to redo the courts 4 times because he didn't like them. I'm like, whoa, holy moly! And obviously, I'll have a special place in my heart for Brigham City, Utah now, because of that special win. So there's a lot of great facilities on the West Coast. You have someplace like Newport Beach, which is they have adopted pickleball and almost taken over their tennis world. And the guy out there, Mr. Pat, is all in. I mean, he's went from having 12 courts to 20 courts to now I heard he's going to build 16 more. So that's a beautiful facility. And so there's a lot of great ones, and I know there's a lot more coming down and being built. I mean, I
have to throw in Pictona just for the special reason that not only did they think of let's have lockers, let's have a restaurant, how about let's have covered courts? And I think the future, Johnny, agree with me. We talked about this. That is the future of pickleball. Talking about Florida, so much rain. What happens to the people that go to the U.S. Open? Not to give them any negative plug, but you might spend $2,000-$3,000 for that week and you get rained out. Sorry for your bad luck.
Yeah,
Where
not fun.
Picona thought a little bit ahead. And I think there's going to be more of that, Johnny. What do you think?
I agree 100%. You know, I've been fortunate to go to a couple of the Chicken and Pickles, which are just fabulous little places.
Fabulous.
I mean, they're and I know there's knockoffs of them coming all over the country.
Yep.
I don't know if they're really knockoffs, but having a all-inclusive atmosphere where
Right.
it's not just about pickleball, it's about the whole experience. And I think that's important for everybody. But no, I know there's more of those
Sure.
unbelievable venues coming. You know, the future of pickleball could be very cool and excited.
Well,
Yeah,
that
Chicken
brings
and
us,
Pickles a one-stop shop. You don't have to go anywhere.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's amazing, and it's good food. It really is good food.
you talk about the future. That kind of brings us into our last question, John. It seems like, you know, the Olympics are probably going to happen down the road. We don't know, you know, when, but it seems inevitable as other countries, you know, kind of catch up to the U.S., if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the Tennis Channel this past weekend is helping grow the sport. How big do you think pickleball can get? And what the second part of that question is, what's it going to take to attract the big money to this sport?
Great question. I'm probably not the guy you want to hear this answer from.
He's going to be honest. He's
I
going
am
to be
gonna be
honest. Here it
honest.
comes.
So I tell everybody all the time, I don't think pickleball is truly a TV sport. And let me explain that. You know, to the average person to watch a tennis match, it's pretty easy. To watch cornhole, it's pretty easy. So people always complain, well, look at cornhole's got this. Yeah, it's easy for those people. We as pickleballers love watching pickleball. So our audience is very small. I truly think this is a participation in an internet sport. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it could be unbelievable. But you got to remember, the people who watch pickleball online are pickleballers. You're not gaining a whole new thing. And I could be way off base. And I'm not trying to knock the push to TV. I just don't know if we're putting the cart in front of the horse type of mentality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're trying to get there too fast. Build that reputation of people watching it on TV and watching this, and having it in the Olympics would be obviously an amazing thing. I think that would be truly game changing for us, and it would put us into that next stratosphere of moving forward. But I don't, at this moment, I think almost like we're forcing it, and I don't want it to be a negative thing, right? Like, so if you push it online and you push it to TV and you push this, and you know, the unfortunate part of this weekend, right? It's great that it's on Tennis Channel, and the coverage was, when I saw a little bit of the play from in the stadium, it was really nice.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you're up against the first weekend of football, and you're up against Novak playing in the U.S. Open. So the viewership, I'm sure, was not what they had hoped. Unfortunately, it's just bad timing.
And then they had a rain delay,
which didn't help at all, right? And that's again the hard part with pickleball. You're going to have those kinks. So, you know, I stand by that. I don't think we're truly a TV sport yet. Maybe we'll get there one day, but I don't think that's a bad thing.
sure.
I think it's okay to have growth, and I think it's okay to have, you know, that building of that, because, you know, I watch pickleball matches. You know, if I'm not in a tournament and my buddies are playing in California, I'm tuning in to see how they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see that. So those are the viewers that you have. I don't know if we're necessarily gaining a lot of viewerships, which probably is why we haven't had the big sponsorship yet. But I don't know if that's necessarily if they have to go hand in hand, right? Does TV have to bring in big money? I don't think so. I think there's other ways to get there and show the popularity and show the how unique the sport is and how amazing the sport is without necessarily having to be on TV. I think TV is an aspect of it, but there's been plenty of things that have gone and been great sports not been on TV, you know?
Sure.
So, I'm interested to see when that first money comes in, and just like every sport that I tell everyone, when there's money that comes in, I hope it doesn't ruin the sport.
Right.
You know, I know at some sports that have racquetball, people tell me, and I'm not a racquetball guy, but they said, you know, some of the money killed racquetball, or some of it was just the way it was set up, just kind of hurt the racquetball world back in the day. So, you know, you always have to be careful what you wish for. I think a small growth for us is the way to do it. You know, much like how do you approach pickleball? Slow and steady will win the race. We don't always have to jump leaps and bounds to make it a better thing. And so hopefully, you know, with the two tours that are out there, you know, they seem to be pushing each other. But if you look at it, we have over 50 some tournaments next year.
That's a lot.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Who can be that much? So, you know, is that the answer? I don't know if it's necessarily the answer. But I guess time will tell, and you know, I'll still try to have fun and keep my name on the top of the rankings, and hopefully have some keep getting some wins.
Well, I think what's fascinating, for every, you know, PPA and APP tournament, there's, you know, 10 others. I clicked the schedule last weekend and I saw like a dozen or 15
There's 12
tournaments.
Correct.
Yeah.
So if you think about the people who watch, that's 12 tournaments, and if you have X amount of players playing, you're losing a lot of players watching because they're playing.
Sure.
Right. So I think having a tournament every week isn't always the best thing. I think the perfect scenario would be to have about 15 to 18 tournaments a year, and including them, and then add the majors, and that gives people enough travel, enough this, enough that and then maybe the prize money gets bigger, because as it gets spread out, so does the prize money. Mm-hmm. So you know, you've seen there's been a lot of debate on, you know, it's top heavy, right, in the pickleball world, and it is, and so maybe if you spread it out, maybe it can get a little bit more of a payout. TOC does an amazing job with it. They pay all the way up to the 7th spot.
Wow.
Correct.
That's a big payout. Most
just encourages a lot more people to participate.
Correct.
Just really does.
Correct.
Now, do you think 2 tours is a good idea? I mean, actually, there's a third, right? World Pickleball Tour or something.
I haven't seen much of the World Pickleball Tour, but you know, I think it's a great question. I
mean, is that healthy? Should there just be one, or?
You know, I'm not saying there's not room for 2. I don't always know if are they fighting each other so much and not thinking about the players in a sense. And I don't mean that they never think about us. Is what I mean is, are they just so, I'm going to hurt this guy, and I'm going to hurt, you know, this tour is going to hurt this one, and this tour is going to hurt this one, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that to hurt each other. Not so much worried about, hey, let's do an event for the players or this and that. Like I said, it becomes more business minded, right? Mm-hmm. So there's, as much as there's a small clique of a family, like when I go to a tournament, you know, you see everybody, you love to go and hang out with them, and you go to here, you go to there, you go to here. We don't hang out and play games anymore. We don't have that same kind of fun because it's business. You're there for money.
It's a real fine line, Johnny, and I'm agreeing with you, because are we in it for the business of it, or are we in it to build the business? And you're right. It's a fine line, because everyone's growing at the same time. And that's why it's hard for me. All the people I speak to, they don't see this yet, because too many people are fighting for the same,
of course, piece of
money, so to speak, or whatever it might take to get there. And some people spend too much time saying, how many feet do I need to step on to get what I want? As opposed to what you were saying is, it might become that we need many more people viewing and not just spectators.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that don't go to tournaments, don't watch. When you start going to tournaments, you get a little bit more excited. And just for me personally, before you got there, I have a newer group of, let's say, 200 to 300 players that a year ago never even thought of considering going to a tournament. Now, the last tournament they went to, a dozen people went to. Now they went to a small tournament. Now I'm telling you guys, yeah, you had a great time. You had real great success. Go to a little bit bigger of a tournament. We have stronger players. And that's what you and I have to face. If we play in the Open Pro division and we're not playing, the odds of us winning are really low. You have to be out there and you have to be training. You have to stay in shape and you have to have I would say, a nice, steady partner, someone that you're playing with often that you guys barely have to even communicate, because I know where John's going with the shot. If I played with Jeff, I might not know, because Jeff and I never played together. So it's hard. I'd love it. Jeff, your point was, could it all be one like this? Probably not. Probably not right now.
Not right now. And I don't, I don't know the end result of it, but I guess we'll see as it kind of, as the chips fall. We'll just see where it goes. But yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, and there's pros and cons. I mean, obviously, there's from the PPA and the APP. There's they have. If you think about it, they have maybe two different visions, and so maybe the PPA is really focused on the growth of the pros and this and that, and building the brand of the pros. And the APP is a little bit with the pros, but it's also about growing the game and expanding it. And so I think they're on two different paths.
I agree.
So I don't know. I enjoy playing. So I'm hoping we don't get burnt out with it.
Right.
I'm hoping we don't have to play too many. But I'm still one of those guys who goes to the tournaments and want to play rec games at night. So if you find me in a tournament, I'm probably going to be the guy late night playing some rec games. Come join me. It's a lot of fun.
Sure.
So I'm still trying to have, as much as it is a business for me, I'm like a 12-year-old kid. I'm just having fun.
Happy to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. I told someone the other day, they said, "How you doing today?" And it was in Chicago, and we didn't have a good day, and it was kind of funny. And they said, "How you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I didn't play that well. However, I'm getting paid to play pickleball." So
yeah, not so bad.
I can't
You're
argue.
mentioning something, John. I know you have lots of sponsors, but it just so happens I'm very fortunate. Johnny and I share a sponsor, our friends at Selkirk. They're like family to us, and Tyson. So I just want to throw them a plug, because I like to always mention their name whenever I'm on the show.
Absolutely. I am absolutely nowhere without my sponsors. I tell everybody, I said, Rob and Mike Barnes at Selkirk, Jonathan Clay at Kitch, who I think is there. He does an amazing job. He does the U.S. Open close.
Good.
Patrick Sullivan with Jigsaw Health, who's, I can't make it through a tournament without putting some of that electrolyte supreme.
Good.
I don't eat. Scotty Fliegelman over at Babolat, who gives me the best shoes in the world. Can't even, unbelievable. They're so good. Chad Lindstrom over at Zealous. Greg Song, who Air Relax, which if you haven't tried the Air Relax systems, call me. You'll get a discount. They're amazing. They put these sleeves, the compression sleeves. Mikey, it's a change of world.
So Johnny, before we let you go, because we're at the end of the show, give her your number again so they can call you for all these different things that you mentioned.
All right. It's you got two ways to get a hold of me. atp.pickleball@gmail.com.
Okay.
Or text me or call me at 352-274-2487. And if you don't get a hold of me right away, send me a text. I'm always there. So, or you can catch me on Facebook, ATP-Pickleball. Like our page, and we'll send me a friend request at John Sperling.
Perfect.
And my personal page. So
Johnny's on the north part of Florida, and I'm a little bit further south of Johnny. So I'm down this way. My number's on the screen all the time.
Absolutely.
And if Johnny ever needs my help, he just has to tell me where to be, and I'll be there.
This is true. He has shown up many occasions for me, which is great.
You need to join the party this weekend, Coach Mike, in Griffin, Georgia.
Griffin, Georgia. That's not too far, is it?
It's like 40 minutes north.
Not
of the
in a
airport.
plane.
No,
that's right.
Not a plane.
That's right.
Get Turbo to bring you up.
Come on, jump up there. My flight cost me $26. Let's go.
Johnny, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on the show.
This has been fantastic, John.
Thank you guys so much for having me. Anytime you want me on, listen, I know I'm a chatty Cathy, but I'm always willing to be here.
My kind of guy.
I'll even take questions from the people. Tell them to send questions, and I love that. So
you didn't have a lot of questions because I'm looking at him. Everybody's saying, "Great, Johnny's in the house, fantastic guy, nicer coach," and he even is a guy. A lot of people plugged you, said all nice things about you, and the bad stuff I'm not going to mention.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate
Johnny,
it.
stay healthy.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see
you soon.
I'm signing off, boys. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
All right.
Coach, another great show.
He's such a great guy. I mean, I've known him for years. He's such a solid player. He's just a student of the sport. He's smooth. He's easy. That's why he can play with all these different partners. They all love playing with him because he's even keel.
Right.
It's nice.
Well, maybe next time when we get him back, we'll just do a Q&A session.
That'll be perfect.
Because we really couldn't get into any questions tonight.
Okay, we got a lot to cover. He's got a lot to share.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, thanks so much. Always a great show.
Good luck in Georgia.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, Jeffrey. Be blessed. Be healthy, friend.
All right, you too. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you again next Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yes, sir. We're going to have a great guest next week.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Jeff. Have a good night.
Good night, Coach.